The story of Michelangelo Merisi da Caravaggio begins in Lombardy, in the shadow of death. Born in 1571 near Milan, in a town that would give him his name, he comes into a world gripped by plague. Milan is tense, fearful and hostile, the air heavy with dread. When Caravaggio is just 6 years old, the disease takes his father, grandfather, uncles, and leaves his mother a widow. Death is not an abstract concept to him. It is a constant, a presence that stalks him from the start. He learns early that life is fragile, that the line between light and darkness can vanish in a moment. This reality will shape every brushstroke he ever makes. As a boy he is restless, quick to anger, sharper with words than is wise. He has no patience for obedience or the ordinary path expected of children. His mother, stern but caring, does what she can to direct him. At 13 she sends him to Milan to study under Simone Peterzano, who once trained with Titian. There, Caravaggio learns the rules of perspective, proportion and colour. Yet even as he absorbs these lessons he feels constrained. The rigid forms, the soft idealizations, the safe balance between beauty and decorum. All of it seems dishonest to him. He sketches obsessively, not graceful gods or perfect saints, but the faces of peasants, workers, drunks on the street. He sees in them the raw truth of life, the furrowed brow, the calloused hands, the human flaws. By the early 1590s, he leaves Milan for Rome. Rome is the beating heart of Catholic Europe, swelling with pilgrims, cardinals, artists and thieves. It is a city at once holy and corrupt, sacred and violent. Caravaggio arrives hungry, desperate and burning with ambition. He carries little more than his brushes and a stubborn will to leave his mark. At first he survives by painting still lifes, baskets of fruit and flowers that patrons buy to adorn their homes. Yet even here his eye is relentless. A pear is bruised, figs are split, leaves curl brown at the edges. His fruit is never eternal, it decays as we look at it. Even in abundance, death lurks nearby. But Caravaggio is not content to paint objects. He longs for people, for drama, for the weight of human life. Slowly he gains the attention of cardinals and collectors. Commissions arrive, and with them, controversy. Where other painters give the church polished Madonnas and angels glowing with serenity, Caravaggio gives them faces from the gutter. Prostitutes become Madonnas, their rough features unmistakable to anyone in Rome. Street boys become angels, their grubby feet and mischievous smiles impossible to ignore. His calling of St. Matthew shocks audiences. Christ, in a dusty tavern, pointing at a group of ordinary men counting coins, light slicing across their faces like a divine spotlight. It is powerful, immediate, cinematic. But is it holy or is it sacrilege? Some priests recoil, calling his work indecent, vulgar, unworthy of devotion. Others defend him fiercely, seeing in his paintings a truth that no gilded angel can convey. To ordinary people, the effect is electrifying. For the first time, saints look like them. The holy and the everyday are bound together. Caravaggio has changed painting forever. Yet outside the studio, he is as volatile as his art. He drinks too much, gambles, quarrels. His police record grows thick, with charges of carrying a sword illegally, insulting officers, smashing windows, brawling in taverns. He is arrested, fined, released, and arrested again. Friends see in him both brilliance and danger. His enemies see opportunity. His temper is infamous, his pride immense. And his affairs, whispered about in Rome, give his critics more fuel. He is seen often with courtesans like Anna Bianchini, Filide Melandroni, and Lena Antonietti, who pose for him not as sinners but as Madonnas. But there are also rumours of his relationships with men. Francesco Bonari, called Cecco, is his model and assistant, and perhaps more. He appears as Cupid, naked and mocking, in a painting so provocative it still unsettles viewers today. In Caravaggio's world, desire is fluid, boundaries blur, and scandal clings to him like shadow. By 1606, his violent nature reaches its peak. The duel with Ranuccio Tommasoni is his undoing. Some say it began over a gambling debt. Others claim it was about a woman. The truth is murky, but the result is certain. Blades flash, tempers flare, and Caravaggio strikes the fatal blow. Tommasoni dies and Caravaggio is branded a murderer. The punishment is death. His name and face are posted in public. Anyone may kill him on sight. For Caravaggio there is no choice but to flee Rome. Exile is his new reality. In Naples he channels his turmoil into his work. The 7 works of mercy explodes with energy. Scenes of charity and violence crammed into a single vision. Light cutting through the crowd like fire. In Malta he finds temporary refuge among the Knights of St. John, even painting their Grand Master. There he creates the beheading of St. John the Baptist, monumental in scale, signed with his own name scrawled in the saint's blood, the only painting he ever signs. But once again, his temper destroys him. A quarrel leads to violence, and he injures another knight. Arrested and imprisoned, he stages a daring escape, climbing down the walls and vanishing into the night. His legend grows as much from his chaos as from his genius. In Sicily, his work turns darker still. The burial of St. Lucy, the raising of Lazarus. Paintings haunted by shadow, heavy with sorrow. His brush seems weighed down, his figures weary. He is hunted, worn, restless. The promise of pardon from Rome keeps him moving, always chasing forgiveness, never finding peace. By 1610, hope finally flickers. Powerful patrons are negotiating his return. He sails north, carrying new works meant as offerings to secure mercy. But on the journey, his body betrays him. The fevers begin, fierce and unrelenting. Some say malaria, spread by the marshes along the Tuscan coast. Others whisper poisoning, perhaps by enemies, perhaps even the Knights of Malta seeking revenge. His symptoms are described as high fever, delirium, weakness, his once strong frame collapsing in days. Alone, exhausted, he collapses on a beach at Porto Ercole. There, at just 38 years old, Michelangelo Merisi da Caravaggio dies. No fanfare, no final audience, no grand farewell. His body is buried in an unmarked grave, his location forgotten for centuries. Yet even in death, his shadow lingers. His art has already transformed Europe. Painters from Naples to Amsterdam, from Seville to Paris, study his chiaroscuro, his fierce contrasts of darkness and light. Rembrandt, Rubens, Velázquez, Gentileschi, all carry his flame. Centuries later, filmmakers borrow his techniques, flooding the screen with his dramatic light, his human faces, his raw truth. Caravaggio's life is short, violent, chaotic, but in that chaos, he created something eternal. He painted saints with dirty feet, virgins with wrinkles, martyrs with blood fresh on their skin. He refused to flatter, to idealize, to lie. He showed humanity as it is, fragile, sinful, beautiful, divine. His art is a mirror, reflecting both the darkness and the light in us all. And so his story endures, the genius outlaw, the man who painted truth, the artist who burned too brightly to last. Today, more than 4 centuries after his death, Caravaggio's paintings hang in the grandest halls of Europe. Step into the church of San Luigi dei Francesi in Rome and you'll find a small chapel that glows with his calling of St. Matthew, inspiration of St. Matthew and martyrdom of St. Matthew. Tourists shuffle in quietly, and when the light strikes just right, you can hear the soft gasp as modern eyes meet that same sudden shaft of divine brilliance he painted in 1600. In Naples, his 7 works of mercy fills the Pio Monte della Misericordia, where visitors tilt their heads back, trying to take in the chaos of bodies and gestures tumbling together in a single canvas. In Florence, in Madrid's Prado, in Paris's Louvre, in London's National Gallery, his works draw endless crowds. The colours remain sharp, the faces remain alive, as if the paint still hasn't dried. Perhaps the greatest concentration lies in Rome itself. The Galleria Borghese guards his Boy with a Basket of Fruit, David with the Head of Goliath, and the unforgettable Madonna of the Palafreniere. The canvases are small by modern standards, but their impact is overwhelming. School groups cluster around them, professors point out the violence in the shadows, and tourists who know nothing of art stand transfixed, unable to look away. It is not only scholars or connoisseurs who adore his work. Ordinary people with no training in theology or art feel the pull. They see the wrinkles on Mary's face, the dirt under an apostle's fingernails, the terror in a victim's eyes, and they recognize themselves. Caravaggio speaks across centuries, across cultures, across languages. His paintings belong as much to the people as to the museums. In the 20th and 21st centuries, directors like Scorsese and painters like Francis Bacon studied his chiaroscuro, borrowing his sharp contrasts of light and dark to create cinema and canvases alive with tension. Musicians, photographers, even fashion designers have been influenced by his raw immediacy. He continues to shape the way we see the world, the way we dramatize truth.